Okay. All right. No, forget the intro because I'm going to disrupt the show for what Will just said. We all know on the show, camera gets a bit fuzzy sometimes, gets a bit,
True.
out of focus.
Criminal.
Will tried to say, I hope you're fuzzy when you come back into broadcast.
I did.
Bro,
I did
look at me. Look at me. I am fuzzy. Anyway, 4th game of the day. We're here. Here are the rosters. It's London versus NVision. London, if they lose here, Will has let me know that it will mathematically half their chances of making it into playoffs.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, if they win here, there's like one set of circumstances where they don't make playoffs, and it's in their hands because it involves them losing tomorrow. If they lose here, then I think there are worlds where they win and still don't make playoffs. So it's very much keeping the game in their hands as we move into picks and bans. And NVision, there is still a couple of worlds where they can make playoffs as well now. It's been opened up for them a little bit by results today, which was something I wasn't expecting at all. But they can still get there, but they have to win this game. If they don't, then they kind of just chill in 5th, 6th, not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think realistically, you lose. You lose here today. Your game tomorrow is against Resolve Academy, and
play spoiler, I guess.
You can play spoiler. You would be able to tie 7th, but I think it's going to come down to a bunch of wacky head-to-heads for you. So winning here today instead will then leave 2nd through 6th all tied at 7 and 6. Where I feel like Enclave will come out on top of this pack just because I think they have the most positive head-to-head with the teams around them. But after that is still all up in the air. But we will have the relevant statistics and numbers ready for you tomorrow. Of course, it will be the final day of regular play for the UKLC. Draft is on our screen, by the way, of course. NVision on the blue side, London, red, and Irelia, LeBlanc, Xin Zhao, Gwen, Diana, all the champions banned away at the moment. Viego wouldn't surprise me as well. And now over to NVision. It's going to be a Graves first pick. Okay, very interesting.
Talk to me. Have you come around to the Monrover way of thinking?
Yeah, are we going to see the Graves in the mid lane? I've been thinking that Graves, as a jungle pick, could potentially be slowly making his way back in. I think he's got a lot of good build paths. And not only that, 2AD scales a little bit differently on Graves than it does comparatively to other champions. It could realistically shave like 10 seconds off his jungle clear just because of how Graves works as a champion. When you're talking about straight up optimal jungle clears, we'll have to see whether it's Sponitis or a solo laner here of NVision piloting the Graves. But London, they're going to lock in the Karma. So that says to me, maybe looking to go down kind of a bruisery type route. Maybe in the same rotation, they could go Thresh or Nautilus as well. They would technically half the efficiency of the flex. However, it's kind of an option for them, and they will do that. They are going to pick up the Nautilus in the same rotation. And I will actually say, I take it back, Mankey's been one of the few AD carries that's picked up utility mages as the bottom lane. He's picked up Seraphine before. I don't think he's played the Ziggs, but definitely no stranger to playing APCs in the bottom lane. And now over to NVision. What do you want to lock into this Nautilus bottom lane?
And I mean, Coast played Nautilus top. First game of the day. We're going to see Yoda being locked in. As the response, though, Oldstone is going to be happy to secure that one. And it could be looking for the marksman here. Varus still available. You've got a couple of those flexible picks like Tristana and Lucian still on the cards. Nocturne as well. If you don't want to be sending that Graves into the jungle, or you still believe in the Nocturne solo lane a little bit more than we do, that is still an option. And of course, the Ziggs, that is being looked at here as well. All very, very strong picks. There's plenty of power left on the table, and looks like NVision are just going to go for the Yord.
All right, okay. So one thing that's definitely potentially scary about this is some of the long-range damage that can come out between the Graves and the Ziggs once we start to get a couple of items in our back pockets for NVision. Things like getting caught out by the Solar Flare and then just being blown up by a Mega Inferno Bomb plus that Graves Ultimate from downtown is very, very scary. For London, though, gonna have to pick something that's gonna be the Lilia. All right, so very interesting pick here. Lilia, a champion who obviously got a wide array of changes. She got a little bit of sustain added to her kit. If you're talking about in the jungle, a slower jungle clear, but the scaling is what's definitely interesting. She scales a little bit better. The numbers benefit her more in that regard. So let's see where this will land, because we've seen it in the LEC. I've definitely seen it in the NLC as well. And the NLC was played in the top lane in the LEC. It was played in the jungle. So still, jury's out there on where exactly it's supposed to be played.
Yeah.
London, though, they're going to ban out the Silas. They don't want to have to deal with that. And honestly, I kind of understand 2 Cups. Pretty big on that pick. I wouldn't be surprised to also see someone like Yone removed away from 2 Cups too. Something he's very proficient at. Lucian, another option for London to remove. But instead, they're going to remove Evelyn.
Respect. Put some respect on Unotis' Evelyn's name.
Yeah, so that...
Terrifying.
Yeah, that says to me, they're not sold that this Graves is necessarily going into the jungle. We'll have to see whether that will be the case or whether it won't be. NVision, with the Tristana ban, could we see themselves actually remove Lucian? I wouldn't be too surprised about it. Instead, Malphite. So a couple of things that could signal. DBL could be looking at Wukong as a potential option. Could also just be looking at another ranged champion for himself. Though it does strike me as strange. London don't necessarily need Malphite themselves. And like I said, with Lilia and Karma, an AD champion at the very least, and it will be this set likely to be locked in.
Yeah, it's leaving me a little bit perplexed because does this mean that Karma's going into that bot side? You could, of course, pick up the marksman and have Karma going down. But then you've got Norton.
I mean, it could be Karma mid. At the end
yeah,
of the
true.
Set
could be Karma mid. We've seen it from Beely before.
Or the other way, yeah. So, can't really jump to conclusions with this composition just yet. For NVision, though, going to show the cards. Where exactly is this Graves going? Are we going to see Graves in the mid lane with the Rise lock in? It won't necessarily be the case, top or jungle. And I mean, the Wukong says to me that the Malphite says to me that either it's Wukong that's going to get locked in for DBL, or they're actually going to chuck the Graves top. Potentially is the other thing they could do. I feel like Malphite would actually be a bit of a pain in the backside for Graves. But it's one or the other. That's how I definitely see this composition right now. Let's see. I feel like another frontliner wouldn't be too bad if they want to put Graves in the jungle. So any of those are definitely strong options. But there you go. Wukong, long predicted. Does make a lot of sense. Gives them a little bit of engage. Gives them nice scaling on the side lane and great team fight presence as well. A lot of follow-up onto that solar flare. Now let's see what London are going to do.
Still a couple of premium AD carries available if they want to go the route. They've got Varus still on the table. Yeah. Could go for that one. I
think the issue with Varus is he's a little bit too vulnerable to some of the CC and follow-up and burst damage there from NVision. Lucian, like you highlighted, will be the lock-in. And I imagine that's going to be Beely's Lucian. We're going to see Mankey piloting the Karma.
Okay.
And it's going to be into the Ziggs as well. So mage into mage, wave clear mage into wave clear mage. Does definitely spell out potentially a bloody early game if both of these supports can get out of lane and start fighting. And I wonder who that's going to benefit more these days, because of old, Lilia was a great skirmisher in the early game because of the low cooldown on the Q. I mean, that she could consistently get DPS out. Now, definitely a stronger, long, sort of drawn out fighter with all of the utility and the healing that she gets. But can it stand up to Graves now? Because the thing with the Lilia was it came out a lot more frequently with the Q, with the E. Now the cooldown on the E is increased, the cooldown on the Q early on is increased. Does this now mean that Graves has a much better time dueling in the early game with her?
And will No Name give Graves the opportunity to go in? Will Unotis be able to go into the jungle and find this Lilia? And we've got 2 interesting team comps here. What are you making of the Rise Lucian mid lane?
Yeah, I mean, Rise Lucian, it's probably going to be very Lucian favored for the first couple of levels, up to level 6. Onwards, I would expect to see this Rise try and make plays onto the side lanes. When you see Rise in competitive play, typically you really want to see him use the ultimate to attack these side lanes. I can't remember who it was I was speaking with actually, but it really did make me change my opinion on Rise. Typically, you think of Rise historically as this scaling mage pick in the mid lane who, once he gets his items, he's ridiculously powerful, and that is still the case. But because of the ultimate, the ability to be able to effectively cheat half a wave or cheat a wave away, walk halfway down the river and then ult to a side lane, it really does make his roaming potential ridiculously powerful. And that is the best value to get out of Rise. And I will say, he doesn't necessarily have the best lanes to attack. Set on one side and then Nautilus Karma on the other can be a little bit difficult, but Karma isn't running Cleanse, so definitely room to abuse that. Lucian should have priority in the mid lane for a lot of this. I expect Beely as well, in particular, on this coveted Lucian of his, to likely, come out ahead in the early laning stage.
It's going to be a game where we've said so much about Beely's Lucian throughout the tournament and just throughout his career. He's one of the better Lucians that we have in this league. That isn't to say that we've got no good Lucians, but Beely definitely stands out as one of those players.
Two Cups himself is a Lucian player.
Very true.
Vango is a great Lucian player. I can't remember if we've seen Monroe pilot it, but even though Lucent are struggling, could also be there. Thomas Go plays it, and he's great. Like, we do have loads of strong Lucian players in this league. It just speaks to Beely's proficiency in particular at the championers. Would you look at this? Final game of the day. Stakes very, very high for both of these teams.
Yes.
NVision, if they lose this game, it's not doomed, but it is almost an effective death wish for their playoff hopes. London, however, do need to win this one.
And no name needs to be a little bit careful. Just going to be able to skip away from the invade. No summoners need to be burnt, though, so not the end of the world.
Nope, not the end of the world at all. But London definitely need to win this one to keep the playoff hopes in their hands. Of course, after today, dealing with NVision, their game tomorrow is going to be Bulldog. Another team around them.
Difficult game.
Yeah, it could potentially be a difficult game indeed. You want to go into that with a game advantage. You don't want to go into that one tied. Especially when I take a look at the head-to-head. I mean, you are actually up in the head-to-head.
Yeah.
So if you lose... if you lose, you're going to fall game behind. So you have to win here to ensure that isn't the case. Now, looking back at the game, no name London, they're going for a late invade, which is very common when we saw Lily of old. I don't know if NVision know this is happening.
They're just clearing out, and London might have caught. Ooh, nice flash coming through from Unotis just to avoid that one. But yeah, aggressive plays from London. They were the ones invaded on initially, and no name. Now BD moving down as well. What are London thinking here?
Yeah, wow, they just want to make it back to the lane. No name might have to come and assist this.
Oh, Mankey could be in a lot of trouble. There's the stun, and Karma actually going to be able to walk away. Takes a decent amount of damage, but does survive. You notice not close enough to get involved, but now Graves is moving up, and London just took a lot of damage. They're not.
No name's got smite. No name's got smite, and instead it's going to draw him away. And very interesting on that invade. If this was the old Lilia, Lilia would have been able to have cleared out that Raptor camp and then actually moved onto the red buff. But because the Q cooldown is so high, it took us significantly longer to actually clear out that Raptor camp. And it meant that Juanitis had enough time to effectively finish up the red buff, put it in smite range, which definitely wouldn't have been the case a couple of patches ago. But it does definitely mess with some of his pathing, his tempo. You can see he's on 6 CS because he didn't finish up the entirety of the Krug camp. Whereas No Name is on 12 already. He's got 4 camps to his name. Did leave the Grump down there, but I think he wants to try and contest that top scuttle.
Ooh, level 2 hit. And actually a little bit of a scrap coming down bot side, but nothing to write home about too much. The flash was burnt by Mankey though, so Karma already not the most mobile of champions in the bot side. Now even easier to get on top of, and Beely also needs to be very careful.
Yeah, Beely needs to be careful. 2 Cups expended a lot of his mana to get this lane priority, actually. And I think because, like you said, Beely did roam temporarily out of lane, gave over lane prio to 2 Cups, and Juanitis could reap the benefits of this quite heavily, potentially get double skull. No Name's going to make his way down to the bottom side. And Juanitis, he's going to take it easy. He's not going to go for that double skull. Wants his Grump more. Happy with 1. No Name still got his big camps to take. The Grump, Krugs will get this in tow, but the junglers all in all, almost even. Technically, Juanitis down that 1 Raptor camp.
But not a big issue. Admittedly, like 1 camp down isn't the end of all things, and let's check in early on this one, actually. Oh, actually, no, what you
I'm oohing because No Name has the timer on the Raptors, so it could be an issue if he walks in again and takes them. You can see he's clearing it, but Old Stones is here to cover him. With that ward in the mid lane, it looks like it's going to cool off the invade.
Good heads-up play from Old Stones there, just to cover and help his jungler get on and get those Raptors, and now 2 Cups could look to try and stop the recall. Doesn't know it's happening, no vision of it, but will walk directly into No Name. He's going to try and get some damage down, a decent amount coming through, but Old Stones and Unotis there. He's going to be rooted up, stunned up, taken down. First blood goes over to 2 Cups, moves into mid lane, but Beely not interested, so it's just going to be the 1.
Yeah, 2 Cups gets first blood, gets a red buff. Definitely be very nice for some of those trades into the Lucian too. No Name sticks around a little too long, quite frankly. Could have just reset long ago. Maybe angling for a gank, wasn't too sure exactly on how 2 Cups made position. She didn't know Old Stones, and Honatus were in the area. Pays for it with his life. Now, Hepe even making his way up there, but I'm not entirely sure whether he cleared out that ward. He did. 2 Cups under pressure from the bottom lane. But NVision getting that first blood onto Rise, it's not the way that you want to start if you're London.
A little bit concerning for London to lose out on that kill. Moving down towards the Dragon, they want to pick themselves up an instant response of some sort, and going for a neutral objective will be pretty nice in doing so. Ocean Dragon first is a little bit boring, but you know, it's nice fighting over these objectives. Having that a little bit more sustain will help you in lane, will help you around objectives, will help you on the siege. So all in all, not a bad trade. That being said though, towards the top side, already a little bit of a gap growing for DBL up into Akers. This is a classic UK top laner matchup here, Akers into DBL. Yeah. And it's been quiet, but DBL having a pretty decent time so far.
Yeah, DBL definitely having a slightly nicer time. I think by tenure, technically DBL the much younger of the top laners, but gap isn't that necessarily too big. I think it's only about a season in total.
At UKLC level?
Yeah, at UKLC level. Both definitely made a name for themselves as very stable UK tops. See how this lane develops, because Wukong specifically picked for DBL. They even banned out the Malphite for it, and they still picked it into the set willingly. I've definitely seen this matchup go very Wukong favored.
Just needs to be a little bit careful. You've got No Name moving on in. Akers has the ultimate available, so could look to jump him back. He will do. He's knocking him directly into No Name. Damage coming through, but DBL getting the better of the trade. Will be able to take down members low. First one going over. No Name has no way to escape. No mana. Teleport coming on through. Can the Beely come through? No, he can't. Double kill going over, and now you can see Yep coming on through to get revenge and a decent amount of damage. Yep might have just saved this play. He has just saved this play as Beely steps away from tower. Double kill going over to Lucian, but that shouldn't have happened.
Rise.
Oh, actually, 2 Cups is here. When did he arrive? He's going to be in a little bit of trouble, but we'll get away with the flash, but only for a second. There needs to be careful in the bot side. Mankey now penned under his tower. Needs to be careful he doesn't get dove himself, but oh, goodness me, there's been some action, and London find their way to an advantage in the play, potentially?
I mean, they get the 2 for 2 back. They push the wave under the tower. 2 Cups eventually ended up holding up, but I'm not entirely sure why, to be quite frankly with you. The play was kind of done. It was really well played of DBL to make a 2v1 happen. And honestly, all things considered, when you talk about the numbers actually committed by London, this is a pretty bad play for them. This is a great play for DBL. Finds the 2v1, takes down Akers with the Q, and then eventually runs No Name down. It's just not great. It's not great for London, quite frankly. They opt for the play. It's a great hook, though, on the back end by Hepe to at least salvage 2 kills for Beely. And we've seen what Beely can do with an advantage on this Lucian.
Yeah.
But now I start to worry for the side lane, because 2 kills for DBL is going to accelerate him very quickly towards that Divine Sunderer. And once the Monkey has the Divine Sunderer, he really does kind of become a god killer.
His place is at the top. Yep. And that's not good news for Akers, whose place is also at the top of this game, and now staring down the barrel of a 2-kill Fade Sheen Monkey, who was already giving him a pretty rough time. Now on the bot side as well, you've got to remember, NVision given a decent amount of free time on this bot lane tower. Mankey there on his own, and Ziggs loves sieging, loves pushing. 9 minutes in, 2 plates already down, a third pretty soon to follow for Fuyu and Old Stones, and the Satchel Charge could well look to take down this tower in short order.
Yeah. Couple hundred more damage. I don't know if they'll find it on this wave, because Hepe's here Looks like they want revenge.
There's decent slow, and they're going to be able to grab in the Leona. So much damage coming on through. Two Cups is coming here, though, and the ultimate comes down from Ziggs. Fuyu needs to be careful. Stepping around, throwing bombs, and Two Cups on the backline. Gets on the Mankey. Yep, doesn't have the damage to finish anyone up. And Oldstone is going to be able to secure the kill. It was disastrous for London as NVision. Nice roam from Two Cups. And Aka's in the top side. Needs to be a little bit careful. Gets the face break, gets some damage. But Unotis is hanging around in the wings, waiting for something to happen. In the mid side, they're trying to get some damage onto Beely, but I don't know. Aka's in a lot of trouble. Gets the suplex back. Needs to try to survive. Doesn't have the shield and does go down. NVision making plays in both side lanes, but in the mid lane, London might pick up the tower.
Honestly, it's London being proactive for the most part. Obviously, we just saw the gank come through for Hornetus on the top side. Well, London just keep on getting punished on any play they seem to make. Now, they do salvage it a little bit. They take down the mid-tier 1, but they still find themselves almost 4,000 gold down. I can't recall the last time that I saw London this far down at 10 minutes. I don't think they've been this far behind at the 10-minute mark, this entire split. So NVision punishing London really, really well. Whether it's mechanically, individually, or just in general when it comes to reacting to plays. London, however, they have found all of the neutral objectives so far. First Herald, first Dragon. It's going to be potentially the second one for them, but NVision, they're in the area. They don't necessarily have all their ultimates available, but they are down to fight for this. Unless they decide to walk away, of course, like that. So it's going to be
down to fight for this.
Never mind. It looked like they were down to maybe fight for it. London, get the second Dragon. Get a replay here of, I'm assuming, the bottom side fight. And it's NVision kind of overextending. They want that tower because they know how close it is to being satcheled. But Mank, blown back by the satchel, and then Two Cups comes in. Oldstones goes back in, but at this point, there's just no damage to take down the support of Oldstones. And up in the top side, Haymaker was blown already, so can't use it to block out any of the AoE damage on the backside. This is going to be a, tower gone for Fuyu and DBL. And that's going to accelerate DBL on the side lane even more. Fuyu already significantly ahead of Mankey because of all of the places he's taken on the bottom side. The whole tower, actually, they managed to find the tower during the replay, perhaps. So Ziggs, really, really far ahead. In the mid lane, Beely is accelerated because of the resources that have been put into him. However, Two Cups, because of the kills that he's found in the assist, he's still up in gold. They might look for this dive now.
Yeah, and dives coming through, teleport coming through from London as well. But he was the one tagging the tower, so he's going to have to jump back in. Will be able to get the kill eventually, as survives with a sliver of health, dodging away from the Ziggs ultimate, and will move back behind the tower. But you can see Wukong's en route, Leona's en route. No Name might be having to run cutoff, but decides to go mid instead. London do manage to get themselves the play, but now there could be a return. DBL and Oldstones deciding if they want to go onto it, they'll jump onto Akkas, who does need to be a little bit careful, but Set, not the squishiest of champs, will be able to stride away. So in the end, it's a decent play for London.
Yeah, nice play for London. They find the dive onto Two Cups, get a little bit of gold back. Still remains that 4,000 gold lead, however. There is that caveat for London. They've got those first 2 dragons. It isn't an Infernal, though. An Infernal Soul. It's going to be a Mountain. Which, to be quite frank, I think a lot of these champions on NVision, they're going to be building a lot of pen anyway. And a lot of the burst damage that comes through, it might be able to save London in some small scenarios, but I just don't think it's going to be that beneficial. I think if they get an Infernal, a lot of them can apply it quite easily. It would have been quite nice as a... Hey...
Thinking about the smart play, trying to kill the minion so that he can throw the anchor through, but the anchor went short. And you know what, Fuyu, this is kind of this is what you want as a Ziggs, you know, just going lane to lane, taking down plates, getting that cash. But imagine, Jabada, if your cannon minions were doing a little bit more damage to those towers.
Certainly true. They're not going to be able to tank through this entire tower, unfortunately. We're going to have another wave, but I think that is going to be the end of the plate shenanigans for Fuyu. London, actually, they feel like NVision might try and overcommit, so they've sent a couple more members here. We see NVision take down London. We will have a 5-way tie going into the final day. Eminem would have secured that top spot. And flashbacks to summer of 2020, where I believe going into the final day, a similar scenario.
Yeah, it was...
First place wasn't locked, but I believe it was something like a 4-way tie at the top. However, this time around, 5 from 2nd through 6th. And it just continues the trend of the UKLC being such a tight league.
Legends.
Yeah.
It's kind of bad, you know. Was it UKLC last season, or it might be UKL, where you had a team go from playoffs to relegation to playoffs?
That was UKLC.
Yep. Is that UKLC? Nothing like that can happen this time around because actually I'm going to have to hold the point. Ooh, DBL, no, he sneaks away. It's all right. He's on a ward, though, so he's just chilling in NVision. But no one can get relegated now who hasn't already been locked into it, so everyone's safe from the fast street. Actually, no name, not safe at all. Needs to flash away. Damage coming down onto Orthos. Careful, tethered up, and a decent amount of damage going into Leona. DBL forced away with Burn on top of him as he gets dunked down damage. First kill of the fight goes on to Orthos as DBL looks for the ultimate but can't find anyone. But here comes 2Cups. He's got a lot of damage. Locked down as the anchor will land, but Fuyu doesn't care. He goes down eventually as Beely steps forward. The shutdown going on to Lucian, exactly where you'd want it. But now they have to back away. Health bar's too low to continue. Fight goes to London Esports. But NVision have the health bars to push on.
Yeah, NVision do have the health bars to push on a little bit. Healing coming through for some of these London members, however. So they are going to be back out into the Rift very quickly. Not even going to have to leave the Rift realistically. Fuyu's going to have teleport. Starts with this catch potentially onto No Name, but flash away. And then the re-engage is massive. There's so much CC, but they're not able to actually find any damage. Lethal damage, that is, onto any NVision member until this dunk comes through. The Haymaker is massive as well on some of these backline members. DBL able to cause a little bit of disruption. The Everfrost plus the root coming out of the Room Prison from 2Cups is enough to take down Hepe. BD sees his opportunity to slide in and take Ziggs out as a response. Is that teleport from Fuyu, and now NVision, they've got control around this area coming in from the mid lane. They're actually going to be able to pick up this mid tier 1. And London, because they actually reset, I think, off the backside of that play, they're not going to be able to contest this one. Ulma economy as well, I think is in their favor. So NVision, they will pick up this mountain.
Yeah.
And the dreams of an early soul now dead. They sit 5,000 gold down. The London NVision in a great position so far, and they've played spectacularly in terms of responding to the plays that London have been making. A deserved lead right now, and honestly, a win that would shake up the middle of the pack, or more accurately, solidify it as a 7-5 five-way tie.
How does this keep happening? I mean, London Esports will be able to pick themselves up the Rift Herald. Second of the game gonna go down, and should be pretty nice to maybe try and break down something like this top tower, for example. No Name is moving up. Beely is there. Of course, Beely very, very strong on this Lucian right now. Has got 4 kills and an assist funneled into him, but about 100% KP on the Lucian so far. Members of NVision are looking to jump onto him and take him low. They're getting the culling down. Allstones will be knocked up. So much damage coming onto Leona, but she will be able to escape on the tower, and Beely is down. You notice on the side, trying to get onto Yet, but Mankey teleporting through dissuades any further action, but that's a big pickup for NVision, and they stop any further attempts on the tower.
Yep. NVision, honestly, taking a look at the items, some of the CS differences as well, especially the jungle. Look at the gap right there. Almost 50 CS. Between the junglers. Juanitis is 2 levels on though. He's now 1 level up by, I think, in total XP, around 11.5 up on No Name right now. He's so damn strong around these skirmishes. And I feel like he maybe could have even walked in to that clump up in the top side as London were retreating, but the call was made after they pick up BD to just retreat a little, take the foot off the gas, because quite frankly, NVision are pretty comfortable. They don't have to overreach or overextend for plays right now. They can keep plays short. And if they want to start to chase once some, a couple more items come in for some of the members, looking in particular towards Fuyu to get that second item spike, DBL at Divine Sunderer is alone enough, realistically. Sterax will just make him, a little more irritating to deal with. Juanitis picked up that Serpent's Fang. So now Karma Shielding going to be a lot less prevalent. And of course, the easy to apply AoE off the ultimate as well. You will see the value of that item definitely start to shine through in some of these team fights. If you're London, what do you actually do? I think the answer, at least to me, is you try and hunt for some of these shutdowns. They're not big shutdowns right now, but if you can try corner off members, try and read the map, see if NVision are trying to play strong side, weak side.
Almost in a bit of trouble. There's teleports, ultimates being thrown left, right, center. Old Stones will be locked up, and Akers is here, punching Leona and taking him down. 2Cups now going to be taken with the suplex. A decent amount of damage coming through, but he's just jumped into Fuyu. Gets shut down though. No Name securing it with the bleed. And now London Esports, they're running out of the jungle with 2 kills under their belts.
Yeah, and they picked up the Herald, so that's going to be top tier 1. DBL is getting lost all the time on this tower in entirely isolated, actually. So is going to be able to pick this one up solo. Given his inventory and his can we get a look at the gold? Because I feel like he's got a fair amount. Only 1.3k. Okay. Not terrible. As where's the okay? The Herald took a while to hit that top.
I think it was clearing a wave.
Yeah, very, very strange. Should get cleared out.
Ooh, not in the same location, but No Name this time going to go down very, very low. Manages to walk away and will be putting people to sleep. As Oldstone's going to look to march forward. You're not as looking for it. Mankey there. There will be a 3v1 for a while, but there's the ultimate to even things out. Beely in a load of trouble. It's going to be the one that they focus. It's going to be the one that Yonotis ends the line on.
Baron's up.
Baron is available. Beely taken off the table. There's a lot of what London Esports have going on for them right now.
Yeah.
But the rest of London Esports are around. Actually, Lilia in base.
Yeah, Lilia's in base. She's coming out of base. Set is in the mid lane, so it's going to have to be a bit of a wombo combo from the Set and maybe the Nautilus as well. Setup is there. Oldstones, he is getting pretty low, but he's going for the engage.
Through, looking for the damage. Mankey on the backside, though, gets taken low by DBL, but they get the first kill of the fight. Yet will go down to Baron, if nothing else, as No Name has finally arrived. But it might be too little, too late, as Baron goes exceptionally low. I'm looking at it, it's 1,000.
No Name!
As No Name goes for it, but he can't get the smite down in time. It is secured by NVision. They pick up members of London Esports on the end as well, but Beely coming through, trying to stop as many ports as possible. Only stops one. Yonotis goes low, but is still alive. Can Beely chase forward? Needs to be careful. DBL there as well. Means that he's going to be forced to back away. All four members of NVision have Baron. Sorry, Oldstone, sadly not a recipient of that buff, but London Esports, it was so close to being so good, but at every turn it just wasn't.
It just wasn't indeed. And now London might be able to pick up the Dragon on the backside, but it's only Beely here, so I actually think it's not going to go over to them. And that's not even additional pressure to be had for him. London, honestly, it's a nice attempt to stop this Baron from going down. They do pick up Oldstones, but he was already low. Hepe has to run back into the pit. He's got nowhere else to run. And on the front side, DBL is causing enough disruption. Eventually, does get taxied in, but Akka's blown up. No Name no longer has a team around him. Can't quite burst down the Baron off the watch out eat below that 900 threshold. And honestly, the Baron going over could be one of the final nails in the coffin. When you speak about how much NVision actually have left in terms of taking down the towers outside the base, and just how strong they are right now, because London can't engage onto them. Oh, okay, weird visual bug there. If London engage, NVision have enough like immediate response burst to kill almost anybody that tries to make their way onto these carries. Fu has to be careful though. He's running out of HP.
A little bit wary, but should be able to back away. No one has the massive engagement from London Esports, and as you said, if it's only one person going on in, they probably die. Even if it's someone a bit tankier like the Nautilus or the Set, can get blown up, and it looks like they want to be keeping the siege up as much as possible with the Baron. Teleport coming through from Fiu, and they're trying to get onto the Nautilus. They're all trying to get onto the Nautilus, and it wasn't engaged, but he does go down. DBL hanging out mid to keep the minions Baroned up and pushing. Members of London in top side, though, kind of caught napping a little bit. NVision make a pick and could look for the inhibitor.
Yeah, I think very much so. Looking at this inhibitor right here. With Pepe dead, they don't really have their true hard engager here. It's just the Set. And even he might feel a bit of a ways about engaging without the Nautilus alongside him. NVision, they get that inhib. Now they're walking their way down to the bottom side. They've got 30 seconds left on the Baron. It looks like the call will be to reset. That'll be the end of the play. 8,000 gold ahead of London right now. London, quite frankly, the agency is out of their hands. They have to try and, at best, create a pocket of fog, hope somebody walks into it, you know, court shop him, whatever. Alt-tab them, maybe. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if you're London. NVision right now have a very, very commanding lead. That's a lot of burst damage. One of it,
he's being fired to the slumber party, going to be locked in, and not a good night for him. It's going to be a shutdown going on to Beely. Of course it's going on to Beely, who now London make that pick, but there's nothing for them to really go for off the back of it.
Yeah. That's the thing. You get the pick, great. What do you pick up, though? Outside of the kill, nice. You got a Grump 25 minutes into the game. That's kind of it.
And it goes on to Nautilus.
Yeah. All right, well.
It was a shutdown.
Back it up. Yeah, but how much was the shutdown?
No, it was a shutdown. You know,
it was a shutdown.
Shutdown. Jemima, come on. Okay. We're not materialistic here at the UKLC. We're not in it just for the gold. You know, it's the maybe the pick was the friends they made along the way. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. We'll say that. Will.
Well, I mean, there's not much else they gained from it, is there? So,
no, there really isn't.
It's bad to flame them after making a pick. Like, we probably shouldn't be targeting at that.
If they were to make it back into this game, it's the first step of many, because they're going to need about 5 more of those back to back, with objectives actually up to maybe make this a game they are going to win. NVision, however, setting up in the top side, they might not even care about this next dragon. Baron spawns at roughly the same time. They know Akaz is on the bottom side. Team members clearing out the mid wave just now, so it's a free tier 2. Zig's going to blow that one up. They could just continue to siege. Akaz isn't even going to pick up that tier 1 on the bottom side for the gold. And it seems like the siege will be called off. The wave clear is back. Oh, they're looking for the engage.
This is going to be brave. Can they land it? They can land it onto Leona, but she's pretty beefy. The ultimate going down onto Unodis will keep members cocked up, but so much damage coming in from Buyu in London, routed to the wind. Yeah, they're still alive. 4 members are anyway. You can't say the same for Akaz, but it's not looking good for the boys in red. NVision have a little bit of a wave, and they're moving forward towards this inhibitor. Should be able to be cleared out by Mankey pretty safely, but with that satchel going, that goes the objective. Now the inhibitor will likely follow, and NVision, the strength to strength this game, looks set for a victory here.
Yeah, NVision playing this one out really, really well. And funnily enough, we had Milo from M&M in the interview from their game just now, and he said, London, they're not as strong as I think people think they are. This statement being proven right by this game right now. Of course, 1 game sample size post the statement isn't exactly the biggest sample size in the world, but
true.
Storytelling, narrative, all that.
Narrative building.
Yeah.
Throw back to something earlier in the broadcast to show you were paying attention. It's all good, you know?
Yeah. London, however, they will finally pick up their 3rd dragon.
Okay.
They will deny that away from NVision. So if this game does go on for 5 minutes longer, something to think about for them. But 2 Cups just teleport everybody out of the base back towards this Baron. And with the amount of time just gained, yeah, the Baron's gone. That's their Baron to take.
Simple as. Just going to be able to secure that one, and now they'll be able to move up towards any lane they want with impunity, really, because what are London going to do?
Not a lot. I don't think there's much they can do. They kind of just have to
engage and die like they did.
Engage, pray. All right, hope that they have an in here, but mid lane inhibitor is going to be respawning relatively soon, so I think that's why they're sieging up here into the mid lane. Maybe they're just pushing in, yeah, but they don't actually, they're actually not guarding the wave, so No Name could stop it. They've got the top wave, though. That's the thing.
Could look for the engage somewhere. London need to pull the trigger, and they're going to do just that, but it's a disaster. They lay all their CC, and Akaz goes down without a shield. Yepe goes low and is taken out by the Ziggs ultimate, and NVision have done it. They burn down the base. The ultimate going through from DBL. He's going to be tethered up, but Beely has nowhere to go. Will be able to escape on the skin of his teeth, but it is the end of the line. Mankey falls back onto the steps of the fountain as his Nexus explodes. NVision below the race for playoffs wide open. London Esports left to rue missed chances.
All right, well, NVision keep their playoff hopes alive, and not only that, they tie up the standings 2 through 6. Everybody is 7 and 6 now. I don't.
M&M
every single
season.
M&M are champions of the regular